Hello, Scorpio, and welcome to Soul Guidance with Adriana. I'm a spiritual life coach, and I help you discover and integrate your own unique truth. I have a message for you today, an intuitive message about your journey. Let's get started. Father of Horns starts our reading. Okay. This is an interesting energy here. It's kind of everything control, the bad stuff kept at bay, but kind of a feeling of what's next, right? So we've got your emotions pretty calm, and any storms or junk outside of you that's created by others, you're either not involved in or you're taking the higher ground. But there's a limit to how long this guy can stay on the island, right? Because he's going to eat all the grass and have nothing to eat and no company. So we've got this feeling of what's coming next, what's lurking in the future, where do we need to be next? And excuse me a second, I want to count the points on this guy. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 6. Okay. There was a reason why I needed to do that. You're at a point of balance and stability right now. And while it may not feel incredibly exciting within yourself because there's nothing that you're battling, you are at a place, you have worked hard to get to this place of balance and stability. Okay, I want to keep going. Let's look at your beneficial energy, the star, and then challenging energy, inspiration, Ace of Feathers. Although you might find this hard to believe, Scorpio, it feels like you're being invited to an even deeper communion with yourself, with your higher self, and with your intuition. Whereas this card is on top of things, right? He's got everything under control. This card is more about touching and blending. And there are facets of information within you, watery information. And it feels like a lot of this is about the past, perhaps even past lives, that is still alive and kind of bobbing around in your soul. I mean, in your physical body right now, that's looking to be integrated back into your soul. I don't know if I can say this without it sounding really weird. I'm just gonna have to say it. It's kind of like you're gonna be touching different parts of your psyche that you haven't touched before. Okay, that wasn't so bad. There's even more depth in there. There's even more growth in there. And I know it feels hard to believe because you said, well, look how far I've worked to get above all of this, to get everything held at bay. But there's something else. There's more in there. There's more levels of vulnerability. There's more levels of depth. And when you get into those even more, and I know it feels like this is impossible because you've surely breached the full extent of that depth, it's going to give you an even stronger vision of where you're headed and where you need to be going. Now, inspiration being the force that holds you back, there's a couple different things that are standing out to me. One is that we've got the quietness of this star card with all the water, and then the active fieriness of this card with the feather, meaning that the push to get things done or the push to feel passion or the push to feel inspiration is not an energy that's aligned with you this week. And I think even my voice just demonstrated that. The energy that you want to be in is this soft, more vulnerable, deep, exploratory, searching kind of energy, not this pushing forward, we've got to get stuff done, we're going to make things happen. And you may also feel that you're kind of starving for inspiration, like you just want something new, or you really want communication from your guides in a different way. You want that blinding flash of, yes, this is why I'm here. This is it. You want that kind of aha, cathartic moment But for you this week, Scorpio, it's found in the shadows. It's found in the depths. It's found in the little reflecting pools that are scattered throughout your consciousness. It's not through the passionate side. Okay, there's something about energy movement in this reading that if you have ever worn something with a lot of sequins on it, like a gown or a dress or a cape or something, you know that you often will leave trails of sequins in your wake because inevitably a few of them are going to fall off, right? So what's going on here is that we've got all these little shiny sequences that are buried in your psyche, in your soul, waiting to be sewn on just a little bit tighter, because there is a bigger movement coming in the future for you that's going to require all facets of you. Every single aspect, every single cell of your being is going to be required for this. But right now the sequences aren't sewn on tight enough, okay? And looking for that flash is just, it's pushing the movement prematurely. It's pushing the energy through prematurely. We want to make sure everything is on very well, very, very strongly before you can really push forward. I'll share it with you. I'm not quite sure if it's really that relevant, but for a while last year, I was really fascinated with period clothing, watching all these shows about people trying to recreate period clothing, and the amount of care and hand stitching for every tiny little detail. I mean, you can imagine people spending probably 10,000 hours on something very small. It's a difference in, before we started to rely on mass-produced machine clothing versus handmade, there was a lot more care and attention to detail. And it's that type of care that I feel you're being asked to give yourself. That there's so many different details and facets in you that, you know, with our broad way of just running through life and, you know, clothes being mass produced and everything happening quickly, we miss the care it takes to really stitch something on well. I think I also watched another show where they were making lace by hand, and to make something this big would take 100 hours because lace making is one strand at a time. And when we don't live in that space, we don't have that same appreciation for depth and for craft and for care that we used to have. I think that's why we're also more careless. You know, we move faster, our cars, our engines move faster, our society moves faster. And there's good, because the speeding up, you know, we didn't have the internet in the 1800s, and that means that we didn't have all this information available. There's something that can be lost though when things get too fast. You know, sending someone a text of, hey, I'm thinking about you, is very different than choosing a card or picking out a piece of stationery and sitting down with a pen and getting yourself in a space where you can write with the most beautiful handwriting. You're very special to me. Sealing it with sealing wax, putting it in the mail. You see, there's just so much more care that used to go into things. And when we're looking at your reading, Scorpio, and we're looking at how much you're trying to integrate, not just from this life, but from other lifetimes, it takes a lot of care. But with that care is power, because a lot of those garments have actually survived into now, and they're still intact. You can see a lot of the embroidery still intact, which is amazing. So we're talking about, again, lasting and depth. Things that you love. All right, a little bit more. Fulfillment, 9 of Cups, and wealth. All right, I don't know if I need to say anything more. Emotional fulfillment, material, and spiritual wealth coming to you through this process. So if you can trust it and not try to hurry it, you're going to see the fruits of these lovely cards. 2 of my favorite cards in the deck. 9 of Cups, 10 of Pentacles. Everything you've desired is coming to you. And there's more portals and gateways opening for you because you've desired them. But again, you don't want to go through the portal and leave some of your sequence behind, because then you're going to have to come back either in this life or another incarnation and work those sequences out. Okay? All right, Scorpio, that was a super fun reading. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing your time and energy. Always lovely to hear from you, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week right here.